this video I'm going to look at installing the mister, IPA mister onto my AvidCNC router. This is the mister nozzle here, and what it does is it draws IPA liquid through to the end through a tube from a tank at this end, and then mixes with compressed air in like a venturi. So as the air comes through the nozzle, it draws the IPA out with it in a fine mist and cools down the cutter and the workpiece, aluminium in my case, which I'm going to be cutting on this. So I've had these parts knocking around for a while with the intention of doing this, and I finally got around to doing it. To start, I got this idea from a guy on YouTube, Jim Neeb of JN Woodworks. I basically just copied his made a minor alterations because he didn't have his extract on this side, so I've moved mine over to that side and kind of made my own bracket from my own measurements, and that's kind of where I started. So I took the mister and the tank, and I kind of lined them up and measured kind of where I wanted them roughly to be to make them work. And as I held them, I used a rule and just roughly marked out and wrote down the measurements loosely on a bit of paper to then be able to transfer onto CAD. So I measured this one in place and measured that one, the tank, trying to allow space for me to be able to unscrew the base so I wouldn't be too tight, and then took those drawings over to CAD, which I was using Onshape, and drew them up. After that, I then exported them onto Fusion 360, which I'm still not too familiar with in drawing terms. I'm more comfortable on Onshape, but I use the Fusion 360 for its CAM software, so we can generate toolpaths and export that code to the CNC machine a lot easier than on Onshape. So after that, I imported it and started cutting, starting with the drilling the holes, and then pocketing out the other holes, and finally doing the contour. And then after that, it leaves like little tabs which I then cut and then bring over to my router, small laminate router, and I just knock those tabs off and just clean up the part a little bit. And after that, the holes which I drilled were 5mm holes, so I could tap them out to M6 for the bolts for the brackets to fit to the actual tank. So I needed 3 bolts for that, and also for the mister had 2 bolts which were M6 on those. When I fitted the tank, which was absolutely fine, but the mister had I mismeasured the holes, and they weren't M6. They weren't 6mm holes for M6. They were actually, I think they were only like 5.5mm holes. They weren't even 6mm, so the bolt didn't fit through. So I searched. I thought I could just use longer bolts, M5 bolts, to go through, and just nuts on the back, which I wasn't that happy with because it just looked a bit messy. But also I didn't have those bolts. So what I decided to do was to drill out the actual mister and open the holes out to 6mm for the M6 bolts to go through. I was a bit concerned because there wasn't a lot of meat around the holes, and also I didn't know where the tube work inside the block was for the air, compressed air. So I was a bit nervous about it, but it was such a small difference in size, I thought it'd be okay. and it turned out that it was absolutely fine, and I managed to drill them out, which I was happy with in the end, because it meant that the bolts looked better, and it was kind of as I intended it to be. So I kind of got over that whole side of things. So that got fitted, and yeah, so I was happy with that. The next thing was to link up the tank to the mister with the IPA hose. So I ran it the same direction as the router cables up over into the plastic conduit, and the same around the back. So as the machine moved, it wouldn't affect the this stretch or pulling on those hoses. So it was all run very smoothly. And then I connected it to the tank using push fits and a reducer. I think it was a 1/2 inch male reducer I needed to 1/4, possibly. I can't remember, but it wasn't very complicated. There was just a few different fittings. I used an M6. I can't remember, but I used the pushed the hose through the 6mm push fit. Used a 6mm airline hose as a seal between the 6mm push fit and the 4mm hose, and it was like a sleeve, and it worked really well, and ended up with the hose going straight into the tank. I then had a little bit of the 4mm poking out, which I then put a 4mm push fit joiner on, and then had the rest of my 4mm hose, which went to the mister. Now the airline had to go a lot further, because it had to not just get to the end of the gantry, but it had to go down through the conduit and underneath the my table of the router into the compressor, which I had underneath there. Now it's an 8mm air hose, which connected up okay. And then I switched it on. It was all good. So I'll show you that now. So I brought you in for a closer look. This is obviously the end. I'll take this off just so we get a clearer view. Now the compressor may kick in, make a load of noise, but we have the air tap on this one and the IPA. If I turn the air on first, you hear it hissing, and I'll bring on the IPA. You just start hearing the IPA, and I don't know if you can quite make out, but my hand's starting to shine. Just leaving a fine mist, and obviously you can go up on that level. More on the air and the IPA, and it really does cool. It's cooling my hand down anyway. You can turn the IPA down. But it's a great bit of kit, and it will make a massive difference, hopefully, when I get to cutting some aluminium, which I'll look forward to trying. That's great. Good hand wash. Probably dry my skin out now. I'll turn that off. Turn the air off. And what I'm thinking about putting that, maybe having like an inline tap, so I can have the settings, because the IPA won't come out if it's open, if that's set, because it needs the air to draw the IPA out. It's got a special nozzle in here, which I think you can possibly have a look. I did this earlier, well, not earlier, but when I first got it, I had to have a little look and see how it actually worked. So let's get a closer look at this. So there you go. You can see the nozzle. So through the middle and out this very end. That's where the IPA comes. The air comes in through these through the back. It's got tiny holes in the back. You see this in the middle, and they come out through here, past this nozzle, and just suck, almost like a tiny bit of low pressure in front of that nozzle, which is enough to create a vacuum to draw the IPA out. And then once it's out, it's caught on the air and blasted out onto the onto the cutter. So a really nice bit. I think that cost me about £20 or just under £20 on Amazon for this whole unit, and you get the a short length of hose with the filter for the tank, which I'll show you now. So this is the actual tank, and what I put in here is it's a one-way valve to stop the IPA evaporating and just leaving here through this hole. And what this actually is it's a water filter, which costs I think about £12 for this whole unit on Amazon. And just type in like water filter and you'll find something very similar. And on this end I put in a 1/2 inch to not sure if it's a quarter, but you can basically a 1/2 inch reducer to whatever that will get you down to a 6mm push fit. And then in that 6mm push fit, I then slid the 4mm hose through, which is a pretty good seal around that. And then that 4mm is a continual 4mm all the way down into the tank. And this is the part you get with the mister. And then I joined it. I bought this separately, this hose, 4mm hose, bought the joiner, and then sent that up, round, over the gantry, and up, and into the mister. And it's a really good system, so I look forward to using that. And I think that about covers it all. It's my first video, so hopefully I'll get better if I do any more. I hope that helps if you're looking to do something similar. But do check out Jim Neeb's one, because it was a massive help to me, and that's what got me, gave me the idea and the inspiration to do this. And yeah, it's great. Hopefully I'll do some more videos on me cutting using the mister and see how I get on. Thank you for watching.